College football, big weekend. Interconference weekend. New guy playing old guy this weekend. Spotlight Southeastern Conference. That is Georgia, which used to be number one. That is Texas, which is number one. Now, these used to be arch enemies. They never played each other unless it was in a bowl game. Now they're conference members in the SEC. This is going to be a doozy of a game. Georgia's led by Heisman Trophy candidate Christian Beck. They got a lot of firepower. Kirby Smart's got a lot of good defensive players. Texas has got two quarterbacks. Quinn Ewers is back in as the starter. Steve Sarkisian has rebuilt that program with a snap of the fingers within 2 years window. So this game is going to be as important as, say, the Oregon game was against Ohio State as compared to the early season Texas-Michigan game up in Ann Arbor. That's going to be fun. It's really the marquee game on the college football schedule. Them dogs, those Longhorns. Mountain West Conference. I knew they were going to add. This came as a bit of a surprise. Of course, the Mountain West lost the top four schools who jump into the Pac-12. Mountain West has just expanded and admitted Hawaii, bringing them back as a full-time member. And what sold them to do it was that Hawaii decided that they would bring all their sports into the Mountain West. In addition, this comes after the hiring, the importation of Texas El Paso. So the Mountain West is now back up to 8, and that's great for them. To get Hawaii to do it, to get UTEP to do it, they promised them they would give them a bonus share as an entrance fee for joining the Mountain West, about $2.7 million. Each of those schools will get as a bonus share, and they'll get full TV revenue. Whatever the new TV contract is, the Mountain West is to negotiate. UTEP and Hawaii will be there. So at the end of the day, Mountain West kind of looks like it's whole again. It's full. But at the end of the day, I'm sorry, the Mountain West looks like the old Western Athletic Conference to me.
Yes, it does.
So that's where we are there. Southeastern Conference, week-long meetings with the Big Ten. These are the preeminent conferences in the country, big boy football. There was a lot of dialogue that the SEC and the Big Ten would join hands and lead a breakaway in college football and form a super conference. The athletic directors and the presidents of the SEC said, no, we're not ready to do that. College football needs to walk through all the restructuring we've gone through, needs to have the 12-team playoff and see how everything fits. However, that being said, because college athletics right now is all about the TV contracts, the Big Ten and the SEC, John, have just agreed to a, quote, scheduling alliance. They're going to play 8 games amongst themselves as non-conference games. So you could have Ohio State versus Georgia. You could have Michigan versus Texas. And what they're going to do, they're going to call it an elite package, TV package, and they're going to sell that as a separate entity to what's their current TV contracts. More money coming in the door. So if you go to a TV network, pick one that doesn't have a big package. CW. You want to be a player in college football? Okay, we have the scheduling alliance. Ohio State, Georgia. It'll be a non-conference game. Top 2 teams in the country, top 5 rankings. We'll put it on the CW, and we'll do the same thing. You know, you're going to get Michigan, you're going to get Iowa, you're going to get Penn State, you might get USC. They're all from the Big Ten are going to play somebody in the SEC. They're going to be 8 of those games, non-conference during the season. It's all about the bank. It's all about the money.
Yeah.
But that's a fascinating way to add more money into the pot of gold that those two conferences have. Meanwhile, Big 12 is kind of laying out there in the weeds. I hate to say they're a non-entity, but they're not what these guys are.
No.
Atlantic Coast Conference, definitely not what these guys are.
No.
And whatever the Pac-12 evolves back into 2 years from now, that's not going to be the equal to the big boys. So those are the latest college football notes. And John Riley says,
it's funny how the SEC and Big Ten are like, no, we're not going to break away, but they're kind of taking steps in that direction with this alliance. Well, we'll see how this all sorts out. It is a money thing. The part of the Mountain West is an interesting discussion because Texas El Paso kind of makes sense. It fits there geographically. And you know, it's a mountain, it's in the mountain area. I always think of the Sun Bowl they used to have there.
It's still there.
It's still
Very
there.
popular.
And it just looked like just a sun-drenched,
Yep.
sun-bleached stadium, if I remember. But Hawaii, I don't know how to say this the right way, but it feels like, it's almost like a charity to let them come into your conference because they deserve to be in the conference. That America knows that they should be in the conference.
And they used to be in the conference.
And they used to be in the conference, but they're just so isolated out there. And it just creates all these travel problems for everybody else.
Well, Hawaii was in such straits the last couple of years because they had trouble getting people to come out to the island. And they can't play all road games. That's not fair to the program and the kids. Hawaii was paying travel fees for every school that would fly to the islands to play them.
Yeah.
Well, part of this deal, the Mountain West said, we'll pick up the travel cost. You don't have to pay that.
Really?
At which point Hawaii said, I'll buy that. And then they gave them the bonus. They're getting a cut, a small cut, 5% cut of the Pac-12 money that's being paid for taking the schools.
Mm-hmm.
Some of that's going to be redirected, and they're giving them the full boat of the TV conference revenue. They'll be on the same footing as San Diego State, whatever. So I think it's a lifesaver, life preserver for the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. And UTEP hasn't been real good in football recently. Was a long time ago. Has been good in college basketball, and that's a geographic thing, I think, to link them close to New Mexico, and there's a rivalry there. So at the end of the day, though, the flagship schools in the Mountain West, the Boise's and the Aztecs, they're going over there. This Mountain West kind of looks like the Western Athletic Conference 2.0.
Oh, yeah, the whack. But imagine if you're a UTEP football player, man, you get a chance to go to Hawaii. Yeah. I mean, that's good on them for those kids. But yeah, it is a lot like the whack. So yeah, Georgia, Texas, going to be a great game this weekend.
On we go from